Welcome to Stories of History. I'm Virgilio, your guide through the winding roads of the past. Today we're going on a deep dive into a tale that puts even the most outlandish fiction to shame. The story of the real Braveheart's heart. You probably associate Braveheart with William Wallace thanks to Mel Gibson. But the real Braveheart, King Robert I of Scotland, is a far more bizarre story. Get this, his heart ended up on a battlefield in Andalusia, Spain. So let's untangle this historical mystery and figure out why the heart of a Scottish king took such a surprising detour. Okay, picture 14th century Scotland. It's a land of rugged beauty, fierce warriors, and a constant struggle for independence against the English. Enter King Robert I, also known as Robert the Bruce, a figure straight out of legend. This wasn't just some brawny warrior swinging a sword. He was a brilliant strategist, a king who finally broke England's hold on Scotland. But Robert I wasn't just about brute force, he was also a devout Christian. Now as he lay on his deathbed, unable to fulfill his dream of going on a crusade to the Holy Land, he makes a pretty unusual request. He calls upon his most trusted knight, Sir James Douglas, nicknamed Black Douglas for his dark hair. Imagine this, a dying king entrusting his very heart to this loyal knight, asking him to carry it to the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. A sacred duty, a final act of devotion, a chance for Robert's spirit to journey to the Holy Land, even if his body couldn't. This is where our adventure really begins. Spring of 1330, Sir James Douglas, known for his unwavering loyalty and military prowess, set sail from Scotland with a small company of knights. Their mission: deliver the heart of their king encased in a silver casket to the holiest site in Christendom. They make a stop in Flanders, probably for supplies, and maybe a pint of that famous Flemish beer. And here's where things take a turn. They get word of a war raging in Castile, Spain. The Christian king Alfonso XI is fighting the Muslim ruler of Granada. And here's the kicker. The Pope declared this conflict a crusade, a holy war sanctioned by the Church. Sir James Douglas, a devout man and a seasoned warrior, sees an opportunity. He can fulfill King Robert's crusade wish and fight for a righteous cause at the same time. He convinces his men to join the Castilian king's forces.
Seems like a perfect plan, a chance to honor their king's dying wish and write their own chapter in the history of the Crusades right. Not so fast. Alfonso XI, knowing this land and their enemy, warns the Scots about a sneaky Moorish tactic called the tournefeuille. It involved a feigned retreat to lure the enemy into a trap, then bam, ambush. Now you'd think Douglas, a veteran of countless battles, would take this advice to heart right. But for whatever reason, maybe a language barrier, overconfidence, or just the fog of war, the Scots seem to ignore this crucial warning. And that, my friends, sets the stage for a tragic encounter. The scene is set, the Battle of Aba, 1330 AD. The Castilian and Scottish forces clash with the Moorish army led by Muhammad V of Granada. As the battle rages, the Moors, just as Alfonso warned, pull off their cunning tournefeuille maneuver. They attack, then pretend to retreat, drawing their pursuers into a carefully laid trap. Now, to really understand this tactic, imagine you're a knight charging into battle. You see your enemy running, turning their backs, seemingly defeated. Victory is within reach. You and your comrades give chase, eager to finish the fight. But the Moors aren't fleeing in fear. They're leading you right where they want you, into a hidden ambush. Suddenly the tables turn and you're surrounded, trapped with nowhere to go. The Castilians, wise to this trick, hold back, watching the drama unfold. But the Scots, remember, they charged straight into the heart of the ambush. We can speculate about why they ignored the warning. Maybe they didn't fully grasp the intricacies of the tactic, or perhaps their desire for glory outweighed their caution. Whatever the reason, the consequences were dire. The Scots, surrounded and outnumbered, find themselves in a desperate fight for survival. And it's here in the chaos of this battle that Sir James Douglas makes a decision that will forever etch his name in the legends of bravery and heartbreak. Seeing his men falling around him, realizing the dire situation, Douglas reaches for the silver casket hanging around his neck. The casket holding the heart of King Robert I. With a warrior's cry, he hurls the casket into the thick of the fighting, shouting, "Lead the way, Braveheart, as you always did, and I will follow you or die." It's a scene ripped straight from an epic poem, raw courage and devotion in the face of certain death. And tragically, Sir James Douglas did indeed follow his king's heart into the fray, fighting with incredible valor until he was overwhelmed and slain. The Battle of Aba ended in a devastating defeat for the Scots. Almost all of them perished, their dreams of reaching the Holy Land shattered by the brutal realities of war. The few survivors, those fortunate enough to escape the carnage, gathered the bodies of their fallen comrades, including their valiant leader, Sir James Douglas. Now picture this, it's the 14th century and you have to transport bodies over vast distances. Not exactly a walk in the park, right? So they did what was common practice back then. They boiled Douglas's body to separate the flesh from the bones, making it easier to transport back to Scotland.
And so the remains of Sir James Douglas, along with the recovered heart of King Robert, I made the long journey home. They were both laid to rest at Melrose Abbey, a beautiful and historic site near Edinburgh. There they remained for centuries, a testament to a king's dying wish, a knight's unwavering loyalty in a battle that took them far from their homeland. Fast forward to 1996. Archaeologists working at Melrose Abbey made a fascinating discovery: a silver casket containing a blackened, unidentifiable object. Speculation ran wild. Could this be the very heart of Robert and Sound, the Braveheart himself? We may never know for sure. But the very possibility adds another layer of mystery to this already intriguing tale. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought Braveheart was William Wallace, and you wouldn't be alone. Mel Gibson's movie did a fantastic job of popularizing the Scottish struggle against English rule, but it also created some historical confusion by blending the stories of William Wallace and Robert I. The truth is, William Wallace, while a hero in his own right, met a much grimmer end. He was captured by King Edward I of England and executed in a brutal public spectacle drawn and quartered. He was a clear message: defy English authority at your peril. But let's get back to Robert Assur, our real Braveheart. He wasn't just a warrior king. He was a symbol of Scottish identity and independence. And speaking of symbols, there's one object that plays a key role in this story: the Stone of Destiny. This stone, a 150-kilo block of sandstone, was used for centuries in the coronations of Scottish kings. It was a sacred relic embodying Scottish sovereignty. But guess what? That same Edward I who executed William Wallace also stole the Stone of Destiny, taking it back to England and placing it beneath his own throne at Westminster Abbey. Talk about adding insult to injury. Fast forward again to 1996, the same year that silver casket was discovered at Melrose Abbey. After much debate and negotiation, the Stone of Destiny was finally returned to Scotland. However, there was a catch. The agreement stated that the stone must be returned to England for the coronation of any future British monarch. It highlights the complex and often tense relationship between Scotland and England even to this day. So the next time you hear the name Braveheart, I hope you'll remember not just the Hollywood version, but the real story of King Robert I, a king whose heart both literally and figuratively took a journey that reflects the complexities and contradictions of his time. Until next time, on Stories of History, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations firing.